Welcome back to the Independent Republican. Mike Graham. We're talking to Isabel Oakeshott. And Isabel, before we get on to Oliver Dowden and his secret misinformation unit, just a developing story over in France, in a place called Annecy, southeast France. Authorities have now said that the attacker, who has stabbed a group of children, 6 nursery-age children, we think about 3 years of age each, 2 of them are in critical condition, is now being named as a Syrian national. So as horrible a story as it is, that will become a massive story now, because, of course, he will be an asylum seeker of some kind who's come through France and is probably on his way to Calais to come here.
Well, I'd like to say undoubtedly, we don't know, but yeah, very likely. I mean, why has he come to France? You know, this goes to the heart of the debate about whether all these people who are coming over are desperate people in deserving need of our compassion. I'm afraid they're not. You know, quite a lot of people who are coming over here from questionable origins have very questionable intentions. And they shouldn't be kept in the UK or anywhere else for 2 years while the government decides whether they have a case or not.
And aside from anything else, in addition to all of the other things that we don't know about many of them may have mental health problems, as this guy may have, in which case, you know, we don't want you, thanks.
Well, I mean, in a sense, it's almost by definition that by the time they get here, they probably develop mental health problems if they didn't have them to begin with. And if they really are fleeing from trauma, then it's very likely they will have mental health problems, which need to be looked at. And at the moment, we don't even have the capacity to provide decent mental health services for the population who are entitled to be here. So it's not really an ideal situation. And as you say, we don't know where a lot of these people come from. I mean, our colleague Richard Tice, who confronted a number of the asylum seekers who were protesting about the quality of their accommodation in central London the other day, spoke to one, and the guy looked distinctly shifty when Richard asked him where he's from. He replied Iraq, which I think is just now the standard response to any question about where people are from. I would have liked to have drilled into that a bit. Where exactly from Iraq? What exactly was your route? And did you leave your wife and children, your sister, your mother?
Right. Yeah, I mean, these are all questions that, you know, apparently if you want to ask them, it makes you some kind of racist bigot, because you should just be I mean, who on earth in any world believes everything that they're told by anyone? You know, it's like somebody knocking on your front door saying, you know, I've come from the gas company, I've come in to read your meter, but he's not actually wearing the uniform and he's not actually giving you any identification. You wouldn't let him into the house.
No, absolutely not. So a real source of concern, this, and absolutely not going away. And so in addition to organising his AI meeting, Rishi Sunak might want to turn a bit more of his attention to that. Yes,
I think so. Let's have a little chat about this secret government unit that we were all apparently being monitored by. I suspect you were on the list, as I was, and as Molly Kingsley was. Oliver Dowden's misinformation unit has now been disbanded, we're pleased to hear. But I wonder what they were doing and exactly what they sort of learned or gleaned, or where the information is stored.
Well, I mean, what we do know is that the government very definitely took a decision to actually employ a unit in Number 10 that normally deals with counter-terror operations. To deal with people like you and me and Molly Kingsley and Julia Hartley-Brewer and other people who simply wanted to have a debate about the policy response to COVID. Many of the points that we were making then, which were decried as disinformation, are now being accepted as having been absolutely right. So it gives me a little bit of pleasure, to be right honest, but I'd much rather that the whole nation hadn't had to pay the price of it. And I think that the suppression of legitimate, sensible, very necessary debate about what was going on in terms of the seizing of emergency powers and the whole excessive response to the COVID threat was one of the most sinister aspects of the COVID response. And we need to do whatever we can to make sure that debate with the compliance of the social media companies is never again shut down in that way. Social media companies have got a lot to answer for, and as you know, they're still doing it. There are certain topics that you're just not allowed to present any alternative view on, and that includes climate change, by the way. If you say, actually, well, the weather's changing and I'm not totally sure it's all man-made and so on, you are quite quickly removed from a number of...
And you're sort of decried as a climate denier. I mean, we're having a lot of these conversations at the moment because of the current smoke-filled North America problem, where Canada's got a lot of wildfires going on, which will probably turn out to have been set by some mad arsonists, right, rather than being set because of climate change. But apparently the smoke is travelling all the way down into sort of New York and into parts of the northern areas of America. And, of course, if you question that it might not have anything to do with climate change, then you're immediately a crank.
Well, I mean, we nearly went down this route on the talk last night. Kevin O'Sullivan, our colleague, was taking on some of the rest of the panel, and I decided I just could not face it. He's absolutely right. And, you know, the suppression of debate puts us in a very weak position when we do all our kind of moral superiority over other regimes in the world where they don't have a free press. Well, I would really question the extent to which we do have free debate in this country. We actually just don't.
No, we really don't.
To pontificate from our high horse.
No, exactly right. Isabel, great to see you. Thank you very much indeed. Isabel Oakeshott, TalkTV's international editor there, with her take on all manner of things.